welcome to Spill It. Spill It is a show where I get to speak to inspirational people and share some inspirational stories to connect people together, inspire others, and help people learn something new. My name is Marcus, and I'm going to be keeping you company for the next 10 minutes until our fabulous guest of this evening will be joining us, and I cannot wait to get into it. Ooh, this is episode 65. We are on the last week of our Pride Month as well. So this is episode 65, Pride Month, and we are talking about pride. Of course we are. Of course we are. We are going to be talking about pride, and the fabulously amazing Debs Bradshaw will be joining us at 7:10 p.m. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. When you jump into the room, don't forget as well to like, share, and comment. These are three simple things I ask for. I mean, you can do them if you want to. You know, I do appreciate it if you do. But all you have to do is like. As soon as you like it, that means that Facebook pushes it up and goes, "Oh, look at this! Let's push this out to more people." If you share, it means that other people within your Facebook community, if you will, get to join the fun. They get to see what this is all about, and then maybe they become a little teacup themselves. And also, if you comment, it means that we get to interact with you with your comments, and you get to be part of the episode and part of the story too. If you haven't checked out our other episodes yet, then you can do. All you have to do is head over to the website, www.spillit.uk, and you'll be able to catch up on all of the episodes that we have done so far, including every single one of my Pride LGBTQ plus episodes. Yes. And also you'll be able to check out the podcast as well. So you can listen to Spill It on the go, whether you're in the car, in the bath, making tea, going to sleep. If you want to listen to me while you're going to sleep, I don't know. Wherever you want to listen to your podcast, and you can do, head over to the website and you can just click away and you can, get it on the podcast. Done. We stream via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch for the video podcast. And if you want to listen to it in your ears and just have a walk and talk around, then you can join us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and now Audible, as well as some others as well. Make sure you get those comments and questions in, be part of the story with me, and you can ask me questions, you can ask Debs questions, it's up to you. And make sure that you have hit that share button. So, here we go. I am ready because it's my new favorite part. It's my new favorite part. It is tea time. That's right. It's tea time. This is a section where I get to spill my tea on things that I found on social media or in the news or wherever, really. And then obviously I talk about some special announcements as well. But before we get into that, Deborah, it's nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining. You are back in Arizona and you waved when you flew over. I wish I knew I would have waved back at you. I don't know if I actually would have seen the plane, to be fair. I doubt it would have flown over the Northwest, but there we go. I'm glad that you're back in Arizona, though, Deborah, and thank you again for joining. Now, here we go. Here is my tea for today. I had to talk about it. We have to talk about it. The petrol crisis. What is going on? Right. So basically, for those who don't know, the UK at the moment is, I say that we're having a petrol crisis. We're not. It's just basically the media has done this thing of saying, oh, there's a lack of drivers, which could affect the fuel getting to the stations. What that has turned into is it's turned into people panic buying fuel. So there are queues and queues and queues of people queuing up to get fuel for their cars that they probably don't drive that much. And it's putting people who actually need their cars to get from A to B for emergency services, for elderly or vulnerable people who need to get to doctors or hospitals, for people who just work around on the roads. It's putting like their jobs and their livelihoods and everything not at risk. Obviously, it's not that they're going to get sacked or anything, but come on, guys. There's no need to panic buy. Let's just keep going the way that you normally go. So I travel with my day job. I travel around, and I drive around Manchester. I can rack up around 60, 70, 80 miles per day. And I was driving home today, and I was like, I looked at my meter, and I had like 60 miles left, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to do my job if I don't fill up. I had to stop off. I tried going to 3 different petrol stations on the way home, and they were all out. Then I tried 2 different service stations, and they were out. I was like, if I can't fill up, then I can't do my job. So, guys, let's just use some common sense. You don't need. This is like the lockdown stuff all over again, when people were running to supermarkets and getting all the loo roll. Come on, like, give your head a bit of a wobble. Go and sit in a corner and have a quiet word with yourself. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. Okay, you don't need to. You do not need to panic buy. Okay, just chill out. Just chill out. Just continue the way that you go, like you normally do. That's it. Okay, and that was my tea for today. Whew. Just as an update as well, this weekend I will be updating the website, so the www.spillit.uk. I'll be updating that website to obviously show you all the fabulous guests that I've got throughout October, but you'll also be able to have a one click away from seeing everything else that I do outside of Spill It and outside obviously my normal day job as well. You'll be able to see absolutely everything, whether that be my MW coaching, my dance exercise classes, whatever it is. You'll be able to see it all on this one hub. So the Spill It website will become my hub, so you'll be able to see everything else that I do. There you go. That's pretty much it, really. So that make sure you stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out on that website. I'll obviously put it everywhere, and I'll probably share some photos for you on next week's episode. That's probably going to have to happen anyway. So yeah, that was my tea. Okay, so it is around that time. I've got a fabulously amazing, intellectual, very intelligent person waiting to come out. She's been so patient as well, listening to me ramble on about petrol for ages. But my special guest for this evening is waiting. She is a local legend. Yes, that's right. A local legend. I'm just going to say a legend because she is. She's a legend. Well, it is that time, and it is time to bring out my special guest for this evening. Here we go. Welcome to Debs Bradshaw. Hello.
Hello, Marcus. Can you see me okay? Because I've no light in here. It's gone off.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was quite happy listening to you and your Petrol Crisis, because it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on.
It is. I was gonna ask you for some input. What do you think about it, or what's going on?
Well, I've had it on very good authority. It's apparently, and I'm not being ageist here, but apparently it's a lot of like the older generation that are going out, who do their they put like a £5 a week or a £10 a week in and just trundle around, and they're filling up when they've never ever done it before, and it's it's just having a silly knock-on effect. And I agree 1,000% with you. It's just silly. Just put your normal fuel in. Stop it.
You just put your normal fuel in. Like, there's no point whatsoever. Deborah's joined in as well, saying toilet paper, paper towels, and bottled water crisis started across the pond as well. It's just ridiculous. Like, there's no need. Just buy what you normally would buy. It's as simple as that. There's plenty enough to go around.
However, somebody did say to me the other day that maybe all these people that stockpiled the toilet roll and are now going to use jerry cans to get the petrol will then put the petrol onto the toilet rolls to help themselves with fuel and heat because there's going to be no gas. So gas is the next one. No need. Toilet rolls and petrol. We're sorted.
The thing is that it's not going to stop here either. So obviously, the media have already started talking about the fact that Christmas may be ruined because of the no fuel, and obviously truck drivers can't get to the deliveries done and all that lot, which then means that people are going to run out and start bulk buying turkeys and everything else because, it's. I can't. I genuinely, I can't. I really worry about the human race.
Scary. It's scary.
It is. But enough about that. I'm ready to play a little game. Are you ready to play a game with me, Debs?
Yeah, just go for it.
Let's do it. This is This or That. Or That is a new game that I play with my guests where I ask them two simple things. Would you choose this or would you choose that? It's as simple as that, really. It's nice and easy. It's just a nice game. And you guys at home can play along and see if you agree with some of Deb's answers. Are you ready to play, Debs?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. First one off the bat, Superman or Batman?
Oh, Superman.
Okay. Lions or bears?
Lions.
I would have to agree with that. Milk or juice?
Oh, juice.
100%. Gold or silver?
Gold.
I disagree. I would go for silver.
Classy bird.
Google or Bing?
Oh, Google.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would ever choose Bing. Frozen yogurt or ice cream?
Oh, frozen yogurt. Quite like a bit of frozen yogurt.
I've started getting into frozen yogurt, actually. I quite like it. Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
I could never get Twitter.
No, I'm not on it.
Instagram or Reddit?
Oh, it'll have to be Instagram.
Yeah, I agree. Blue eyes or green eyes?
Ooh. Oh, blue eyes.
Blue eyes. And your last one, witches or wizards?
Oh, witches. 100%. I am one. Well, so people tell me.
There you go. And that was This or That. There we go. It is over. How did you find that?
It's great. I was dancing along to the music. It's great.
I love that little thing, like that little jingle there.
Yeah. Dance along.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to make some more games as well with new jingles. Okay.
You need more time. Do other things.
I know, yeah. I do too much as it is. Somebody else can make me my jingles. Right, let's get into it because this is an episode that I've been wanting to do for a while. And obviously we're at the end of Spill It's LGBTQ plus Pride Month. And obviously we are going to talk about Pride. However, there is one question that I want to know because there will be people out there who don't know, for some bizarre reason, who you are. So for those people living under a rock, please tell everybody, who is Debs Bradshaw?
Who is Debs Bradshaw? Well, there you go. Which day is it? So for the purpose of tonight, Debs Bradshaw is the chair of Preston Pride, and I have been doing LGBTQ plus work in and around Lancashire for 20 odd years. I've been a big activist of part of the LGBT community. I helped with the consultation on the marriage equality bill.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I helped to develop Lancs LGBT. I was with the original chair and one of the original trustees and the original steering group before it was Lancs LGBT. It was Preston Gay and Lesbian group.
Oh, wow. So we had Beth Meadows from Lancashire
Yeah,
LGBT.
I know Beth was on. So yeah, I've been around. I've been here and there, but my passion very much is around the community element of Pride and keeping Pride sort of out there. And there's lots of reasons for that, which I'm sure we're going to continue to discuss. Obviously, I'm an out lesbian. As I said, I couldn't do this without doing that. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. I have my feminist days. Some days I am, some days I'm not. It depends what mood I'm in. But I'm a very strong believer, obviously, around women's rights and equality of women's rights, as well as a lot of other equality work, because my passion also, as well as the LGBTQ stuff, is inequality across the board. So discrimination is not acceptable in any form whatsoever. And that really is what got me into my community activism way back when, about being, stuff that happens in the community, and it's just appalling and it shouldn't be going on in 2021.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of different questions or a lot of different topics within, obviously, the work that you do, and obviously within Pride in general. And there'll be a lot more that we won't actually be able to get through. So obviously, guys, if you have got any questions for Debs on this subject, please feel free to put them in the comments, or if you are listening to this on the podcast, feel free to email over to me and we will get those answers for you too. So, Debs, why is Pride important specifically in 2021?
Okay, right. How long have we got, Marcus? We've got I'll kind of summarize it. So realistically, we shouldn't have to have a Pride in 2021. I mean, it's the same as anything. Why have we got the Caribbean Carnival? Why have we got all these other, minority festivals as seen as or whatever? Unfortunately, there is still a lot of discrimination. There's still a lot of prejudice towards the LGBTQ plus community, and recently, not that long ago, I chose to do what I was really scared. I know you introduced me as somebody like super intelligent, but I chose to go back to school and college, and I did my master's dissertation all about the purpose of Pride in 2021. And what I was interested in finding out was there's a lot of bad press around Pride, and understandably so. It's like, it's not, people have this misconception it's just for the LGBT community, and I've heard it said, and I've got some horrific stories that have happened in Preston when we've run it, in the community, and it's over commercialized, it's all about making money, and then you compare like the big prides in the UK, so you've got your big ones like Manchester's our big local one compared to like London and Brighton, and then you think, well, actually, what is the purpose of it? What's the point? Well, the point is it's about that engagement, it's raising visibility for the community, it's acceptance, it's inclusion, it's showing that we're there and showing that we're not invisible anymore, we're out and proud, we don't have to hide anymore, we haven't got police knocking on our doors and arresting us and putting us in prison, which wasn't that long ago. And it's, for me, it's around education and awareness raising. And something I'm extremely proud of is being involved with Pride from its inception in Preston, because I'm a Preston born and bred girl as well. And we launched it at the Guild. So we actually launched it in 2012. And we thought, well, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And if we're going to do it once as a one-off, let's go for it and get on the back of the Guild. If we're going to be able to do it, let's go for it. And since 2012, and obviously we've missed this year and last year, sadly, because of COVID, but the increase of young people and different communities attending. So when I say different communities, I mean the diverse communities. We've had a really good mix, because I understand, obviously, Preston has got high people of colour, communities, black minority ethnic communities. And yes, they do exist with gay people in them. And, it's there's a lot of stuff around intersectionality around, you're a woman, you're gay, you're this, you're that, you're the other. But we are really proud, as I say, about the young people specifically, because sadly in Preston, up until very recently, certainly from the statutory organisations, there used to be a young people's LGBT, as was then, group, and because of the cutbacks that was closed. I think it was about 2019, I think they stopped it. But the young people, I would say it's a good, I know you've been to the Pride, Marcus, I know you've been there, and I would say now we get a good 50% of the audience that attend, and it's fantastic. And one of the young people that I spoke to on the day, he was so lovely, and he came over to me and he said, "Are you that woman that was on the stage before?" And I said, yeah, that was me. And he went, do you know what? He said, I'm so pleased to be here with my friends. He said, it's the only day in the year I can be me. He was 14. I mean, so he'll be about 16 now. He's 14 years old. And his friends, and they were all wrapped in rainbow flags. And that has just stood out for me as one of the key things. I thought, you know what? That's why we have to do Pride. For young people as well as older people to be able to feel safe, secure, be part of a community that they may not be able to be part of normally. And yeah, so that's some of the reasons why we need to still have Pride.
And yeah, and some is the operative word there, because there's still a lot more reasons.
Yeah, banging drum.
I mean, one, like, and we're going to get into the whole political side of things, because obviously I want to know where it all started, like way back.
Oh, well. I can give you the full history tour.
Exactly, and we're really gonna get into that one. However, there was something that you did mention that I wanted to touch upon. So you mentioned that people look at Pride as if like, oh, it's too commercial. It's basically just like it's all for like making money and stuff like that. And I'll be completely honest, like way back in the day, that was my impression. My impression was that it was just, I didn't see the point. I didn't understand why it was important to do Pride. I just thought it was just one big party, that's it, and it is just commercial and it's lost its meaning and blah blah blah. But actually, I found personally that the smaller prides are very, very focused on why it's important. And there was, and I won't go into too much detail because obviously that's it's not for us to talk about, but there was a huge uproar with regards to Manchester Pride more recently with regards to making money and losing its meaning and all that lot. And it turned out that a lot of people within Manchester Pride had moved away from there to start their own protest, if you will. There were people walking down the streets and all that lot. And this now links nicely with what I was going to say with regards to Pride is not a party, it's a protest. And it started way back as a protest. And so I will pass the torch over to you, and you can explain.
I'm going to be a history teacher now, Marcus.
There you go. Yeah, you can be our history teacher on Pride.
Okay, so Pride originated in New York, 1969, with the Stonewall riots. That has now gone down in history as the main event. And what was happening at the time, it was illegal. It was at the end of kind of the civil rights movement in the late 60s in America. And it was still illegal to be gay. And what happened on that night? Basically, the community in a small, say, the Stonewall Inn, just in Greenwich Village in New York, decided that they'd had enough and they fought back. And it was actually the drag queens got the stillies out and started to, use the stillies as a weapon, which I know is not right. And that's basically what started it. And there was a massive riot. And then from that riot, then when I say that then started with marches, which were peaceful marches. Obviously, those resonated around the world. And I think I'm pretty sure the first one that we had in London was 72. So I'm pretty sure it was 1972. So in London, 1972, it was the first Pride. Now you might think, well, it was okay because it wasn't illegal anymore to be gay in the UK. 1967 was when they changed the homosexuality equality bill, and so prior to that date, so it's only about 4 or 5 years later, you would be imprisoned, you would be beaten, you'd be dragged off the streets, and basically not treated in a nice way just because of who you were. So 72 was the first London March, and that just escalated then. And there was things like the Campaign for Homosexual Equality, CHE, which our previous mayor, David Burrows, was one of the founder members of, who, again, Preston Manny, was previously MP for South Ribble. I've met David on numerous occasions, fantastic guy. And, there was a lot of under things going on within the community. Sadly, it took a very, very, very long time to start making headway, and then good old Mrs. Thatch came along in the mid 80s, and I'm sure some of the listeners or viewers will have seen Pride, the actual film, and brought in something called Section 28. And what happened was, in Section 28, it did a massive, massive damage to the LGBT community because the statutory authorities at the time were told that they had to stop teaching about anything to do with same-sex relationships, but it actually wasn't the schools. All it was about was not promoting same-sex relationships, and it came because there was a minister at the time who'd seen a book about two dads and a daughter who was in one of the libraries in London, and he went back to Mrs. Thatch and said, you know, we're not happy about this, because at the time they were giving it large about all the you know, the perfect families and all the stuff that was going on at the time, which was ridiculous. I remember it very well. And so they put this statutory ban around promotion of same-sex relationships, which had a huge knock-on effect into schools, into communities, and teachers then, so, you know, we're going back sort of like the mid-80s, were scared and frightened because they thought they would be fearing dismissal. And then the Pride movement obviously was then still around equalities and legislation. I mean, at the time, you know, you couldn't, you know, it still wasn't legal, you could still be sacked for being gay, you know, that only came in 2003. So we've had to fight a hell of a lot, but things still haven't, that we're a lot better than we were. But I mean, even now, I mean, again, I don't know if you your viewers or listeners are aware of something called gay conversion therapy. However, it's not just about gay people. This is also connected to the trans community as well. So if within your community you are identified as your sexual orientation is against your particular beliefs or values, you may be offered, to go to speak to somebody who can convert you back. So a lot of people don't identify with a sexual orientation or gender identity, and that is very, very dangerous. And I also, in my day job, as well as flying my big rainbow flag, which I don't do as my professional job, sadly, it's all voluntary. But in my day job, I work in mental health, and the amount of impact that this has, and I know you've done some of your sessions on mental health, Marcus, but it's huge. And the suicide rate is still the highest in the trans community for adults because of internalization, because of fear of either coming out or identifying who they are and just being them. So this still comes back onto what we've said about the importance of pride. But we've still got ways to go. We've still got fights. There's still a lot of inequality. I have had recently, myself and wifey were out shopping outside of Aldi. I won't say which one, but it was one in Preston. And two people got out of the car. All we were doing was putting our shopping into the boot of the car. And we were just about to go and have a quick drink because we finished our shopping. Wifey leant over to me, gave me a peck on the side of the cheek and said, "Yeah, come on, I'll take you for a beer." We got abuse from these two guys that got out of the car just because I was totally like, right, policemen, hate crime, reporting, you don't know who you're messing with. So got the reg and everything. But it's not acceptable. Why do people still think they can do that? And again, just going back to the importance of pride and, where it all came from. I think it's 2 or 3 years ago. I remember seeing a guy walking across the Flag Market in Preston, which is where we host Pride. And I remember distinctly, I was just at one of the stores and we hadn't even properly started. The acts hadn't come on or anything. And I remember seeing him look at all the rainbow flags. He had a little, I would say probably 2-3-year-old son with him, picked his son up and physically ran across the Flag Market. And, it beggars belief. So, yeah, the history's there. Discrimination, prejudice, sadly, is still there. And education, biggie, PHSE, there's loads. So just fire what you want to know more about. But, yeah, that's kind of where it came from. But unfortunately, there was a lot of damage done by the Conservative government in the 80s and knocked us basically back to where we were at the late 60s. Just starting to get there again now.
And I just want to stress as well for people who are listening, who might not necessarily know a lot about Pride or a lot about the LGBTQ plus community, or might have the misconception that, everything's fine in the LGBTQ plus community. I mean, like this, the stuff that we've just talked about, the stuff that Debs has just talked about then, that's within a lifetime ago. That's like, that's happened recently. That's one person has lived through that quite recently. That's how recent it is. And the fight doesn't stop now. The fight continues. And we've said it for, to be fair, every episode this whole month. It's equality. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for equality. We're not looking for more rights. We're not looking for more privilege. We're looking for equality. The you know, the clue is in the name, is equal. That's what we are looking for. And until equality is reached, then we will continue. And then even after that, Pride will continue because it'll be remembering the fights. It'll be remembering the blood, the sweat, the tears that have gone into where we are today or where we will be then. And you touched on obviously the experience outside Aldi. That was obviously a horrible experience, and it reminded me of a time. So I just got into my relationship with obviously Glenn, who I'm married to now, and it was one of our first Christmases together. And I remember going through the Trafford Centre and buying Christmas presents, and it was obviously Christmas is the time of year where obviously couples are all together and they're all shopping together for the kids or for family or whatever. And they're all walking around holding hands and all that lot. And I looked over at Glenn's hand and I distinctly remember looking at his hand and thinking, I just want to hold his hand. And I looked at him and I said, will you be okay if I hold your hand? And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fine. And so I held his hand, and it started off with looks. It was like the double takes, and then it turned into then people laughing and sniggering, and then people saying stuff, and then it turned into more vocalization from people who obviously didn't understand and all of that lot, or uneducated, full of hate for life or whatever. And yeah, it turned into a point, point where I was just like, oh, it's just too much. I just don't want to do it. And from that day, we don't do public shows of affection. And there's a lot of people out there who don't do public shows of attention.
Very, very, very common, that, Marcus. You know, that's, again, another reason why at Pride, you know, people can be themselves. And it's ridiculous, you know, in this day and age for you and, you know, your hubby to not be able to walk down the road. And sadly, you know, I mean, I have seen young lads in town, and I actually spoke to one of them because they were holding hands. They were probably in their late teens. And I just was so chuffed for him, but I just whispered in one of their ears, just be careful, guys. And he was like, who do you think you are? And I thought, I'm not interfering. I'm just saying, just be careful, because there's a lot of silly people out there. I mean, sadly, I was involved with the family of the young guy that was beaten up outside of McDonald's not that long, about 12 months ago. And we got him to speak. Well, crikey, it's longer than that, isn't it? I was like, we've lost 18 months because of COVID. So it's 2 years ago. But yeah, we got him to speak at Pride because he just wanted to thank the community for all the support that he'd had on his Facebook page. His mum wanted to thank people for supporting him. And, you know, and again, you should be able to go out and get a burger with your mates and come out without a load of idiots hurling abuse at you and then thinking it's okay to go and basically give you a slap and a bit of a kick. And no, it's not acceptable. Yeah,
definitely. And actually, speaking about, like, obviously couples and things like that, and the way that people think that everything's okay in the everything's okay with the LGBTQ plus community because obviously you know, there's whatever. It links nicely with what I wanted to talk about, would be like media representation. And how do you think the LGBTQ plus community, and also as a separate thing, Pride, is represented in the media?
I still get excited when I see a gay character in something or a lesbian in something. The only sad thing is they always end up badly. So like you see any of the soaps, you know, and there's always a negative connection to their relationships. I mean, even Walford Pride in EastEnders, which always makes me smile. There was they were trying to do a Longridge Pride, by the way. Just want to put that out there when you're talking about small prides. But yeah, you know, I mean, not that long ago, the only media portrayal you saw, and again, linking this maybe back to people of influence, were usually very gay, very camp men, usually comedians. And then you'd see the women who were very stoic, you know, like the Sandy Toksvigs, or who might be very butch, or, you know, and then you just think, well, what about the middle of the road lesbian who, you know, I don't have short spiky hair and wear Doc Martens and, you know, and wear dungarees. Used to, don't now. Hey, I've grown my hair. But but yeah, so in the media, and again with Pride, that is just that commercialism that's fueled, and they forget about the local ones. In Lancashire, even Blackpool now, they are getting more. They're going back to where they were with the community. I mean, Rob Mee, that runs the Lancaster Pride, Lancaster Morecambe Pride, every credit to him. He's fought tirelessly, like we all do, to get the prides up there on the map. But again, it's back to these smaller prides and supporting them. But in the media, it's always the big. And when there's, I remember not that long ago, it was London Pride. There was back to the trans community, and somebody at Pride, I think it was a female trans woman, was told she couldn't go in the toilets. And I don't know, I'm sure Beth has covered some of this. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. And there was a hoo-ha. And also about female-only spaces. That's another one of my biggies as well. And, again, we're not having female-only spaces, trans women at Pride and all this crap. And I just think, you know what, back to equality, Marcus, it's people are people and let them be who they are. But the media will always pick up on the negative stuff. They will always pick up on something that's to sensationalise stuff. They never pick up on the positive. I mean, look at Nicola Adams. The first same-sex couple dancing on, I know it's part of your thing, dance there, darling, dance. Dancing on Strictly, fantastic. But why couldn't she just be Nicola Adams on Strictly? The two guys now, the gay guy now, I can't remember his name, he's a sportsman, I think, that's on the current Strictly. Why make a big thing out of it? It's a guy dancing with a guy, so. But again, it's because it's like, ooh, look at that. A bit of titillation, a bit of sensationalism. And again, I think it's a bit like back to Petrol Crisis, really. The media just fuels stuff. And they jump on things, but certainly back to portrayal. I mean, It's a Sin. I'm sure most of you, your viewers, listeners, fantastic. Russell T Davies, absolutely every credit. The real woman was in that as well. The girl who played his best mate.
Really?
Woman, she was the mum. Yeah, she was in it.
Oh, wow.
Episode. There's a bit of input there from Deborah. So yes, she was actually in it. But yeah, and again, yes, it was a very, very, very hard hitting story, but it's a huge part of our history from within the LGBT community. And I know you've covered the HIV stuff. Another reason, again, I got massively into my community activism was for my ignorance at the time when Freddie Mercury died. I'm a massive Queen fan, and when Freddie Mercury died, I didn't know what HIV was. I kind of knew about it. I lived through the 80s with the Tombstone advert, don't die of ignorance. And then Freddie Mercury, I didn't even know Freddie was gay. That's how ridiculous. You just think, what? Freddie Mercury's died? What? And then I went to the concert afterwards. I went to the memorial concert in 1992. I saw all the red ribbons. I listened to what they were talking about. And I thought, I can't not do anything. I've got to do something now. So 1992 was probably when I started to really, and I actually linked in then. I found out more about my local HIV charities in Preston at the time. But again, it always negative, and it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be the case.
Definitely. I think a lot of the storylines in soap operas, or even just like TV shows in general, or with some of the films as well, I think the characters who identify within the LGBTQ plus community are pretty much used as scapegoats. Like there's always something wrong. They're always got a doomed relationship, or they get murdered, or they get killed off in some way, or like there's always something. Or the worst one is so they come out as like, oh, I'm now gay, or I'm now lesbian, or whatever, and there's one other in the village or town or whatever, and suddenly they're in a relationship. Like it's just like not every. It goes back to like what people say, like, not every gay person, or not in my instance, not every gay person is attracted to every other gay person.
Oh, okay? No, you get that. I've had that a lot, and I'm sure you've had it. When I first came out, I was in my 30s when I came out. But when I first came out, I did have a little bit of a bad reaction from one of my friends at the time, and she was convinced I fancied her, and it was like, nah. And like you say, Marcus, it's that misconception. That's back to education and awareness. Not every heterosexual person fancies every. It's ridiculous.
But it goes, and though we may criticize obviously the soaps and the TV shows and the films and all that, what it basically boils down to is who is sat there in the writers' room, because that's what it is. It's who is representing us within the writers' room that's actually saying actually, this isn't what it's about. Like, maybe we should do it something like this. And because of the instances like this, it shows that there is a lack of representation of the LGBTQ plus community within the writers' room of these soap operas, TV shows, and films. So yeah, I'm so glad that I managed to get into that, because it's something that
Gay for Pay is the other one.
Like
people like what's his face? It was in Top Gun. They did Philadelphia, but he played the gay character who he died of HIV, Tom Cruise. And why didn't they have a gay actor to play that? And again, I've had big debates and arguments about this. Well, why do you have to be gay to play a gay actor? Well, I'm just going back to Emmerdale. I do know that Emmerdale, the storyline around Charity and Vanessa, the two lesbians, obviously Vanessa, I mean, she actually is gay in real life, and her partner is one of the writers, funnily enough, on Emmerdale. Yeah, I think she might be the producer, actually. But yeah, so they wrote that in purposely because Vanessa, where she actually is quite a big activist, a lesbian activist. Gentleman Jack, again, Saran Jones. Love Saran Jones, brilliant in Dr. Foster, great in Coronation Street. But why did she play Gentleman Jack? There's a lot of lesbian actors out there, actresses, who could have played that just equally as well. You know, and it is that. But then you go the opposite, and it's like, oh, is it the pink pound? Is it you've got to be pink to do the... I've heard it all. You know, and it's just ridiculous. But like you say, let's have some positivity out there. But there is, you know, I mean, Stonewall do I think it's 100 inspirational people a year. And that can be people from everyday life plus famous people who do, you know, put the stuff out there. But yeah, go Russell T Davies. That's what I say.
Yeah, definitely. Moving the conversation back to Pride. So with regards to Pride, now I clearly know the answer to this, and I just want to know, I want you to explain this nice and clearly for everybody out there.
I will try, Marcus. I will
try. Pride is for obviously the representation and the education of LGBTQ plus history. However, please can you explain who Pride is for?
Pride is for everyone. It is not just for the LGBTQ plus community. You know, straight allies. I've been doing a lot of work recently. Again, funnily enough, it was with Young People's Group around looking for straight allies, and it's really important that, you know, heterosexual allies, they're out there. We've got loads of mates, we've got loads of straight mates who support the community, support what we do. But no, I mean, this myth and misconception, and yeah, you know, I understand you go to like places like Manchester and it's ridiculous, it's a huge party, but guess what? We have a big party in Preston, but there's no alcohol. So again, that big thing about it's a pee up, you know, whenever you go to Pride and it's just a big party. Well, it's a party and it's a celebration, but you don't have to get hammered and walk around the streets of Preston to have and be part of the community and to be there side by side with your straight allies, with your friends, with your family on that one day. Or it's not even a full day, Marcus, is it? It's a few hours, 6 hours in that one day that you're there to be able to be you with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your community, and it is for anybody to come along. And also the good thing about what we do at Preston Pride is the information. So when I was saying before about education, information awareness raising, we literally have everybody and anybody on those stalls, from the police are there, the NHS are there, local charities are there, all supporting. You'd be amazed. I think we have something like 60 stalls. You'd be amazed. And this is all about showing solidarity, but actually saying, do you know what? We don't have to have a Pride anymore because everything's okay. Well, guess what? No, it's not. And I know I said this before, but what I'm working for, famous quote from me as well, I know that'll probably come up later, is good old George Orwell in Animal Farm, which is some pigs are, it's something to do with pigs. I can't remember what I said. It'll come back to me. All pigs are equal, except some are more equal than others. Thank you, Deborah. And that's about... all pigs are equal. It's setting off that, level playing field that everybody's the same. Well, guess what? No, they're not. You could be gay with a disability. You could be black and gay and lesbian or whatever. It's about people.
So. Definitely. It's about people. And the thing is, just to stress, like you can go to a Pride, like even the Preston one, if you're local to the area or whatever. You can find a Pride to go to just be an ally. You don't need to have a gay friend to go to Pride. You could go to Pride to be educated, to be part of the community, and to be a better ally, because that's what we need. We need allies. We need people who have gone through a life where they've not been ridiculed for holding their partner's hand, or they've not like gone through high school being bullied, or they've not been pushed to having to push their thoughts and their feelings inside because they felt like they have been different to people around them, and they don't feel like they are part of like they are not the gender that they've been assigned to at birth. We need people that haven't experienced all of that to become stronger allies for us to be a voice in those places. Like, as I said, in the writer's room of these different places, in the workplace, in all of these places that we don't don't necessarily have a voice. Like, that's what being an ally is. That's what being an ally means. It means being a voice when normally we would be pushed aside.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking something just popped into my head going way back to my school days when, you know, I mean, I kind of thought I was gay at the time, but I never came out, as I said, until a lot later, as you do. But I remember my safe space at school was the music room, surprise, Marcus. But yeah, I used to just run away with my mates and I'd go into the music room. But now it's like, for me, that's always stayed with me. And that part of my passion and mission is that safe space in Preston. And we are doing still with Pride, we are doing with more work with, you know, sadly in Preston, we haven't got any, you know, gay venues, dedicated gay venues as such. But then do we need them? Why should we have? That's another debate. You know, why should we on the back of Pride? Every year at Pride, I can guarantee you they all come out of the woodwork and say, we want to have a gay night. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, you come out once a year. What happens to the other 364 days? Just make your places more inclusive. And if you get Muppets that come into your venues, verbalizing, or even worse, get rid of them, just chuck them out. And the more, and again, it's that back to Stonewall. Back in the early days, stand up. We shouldn't still have to fight for our community. But as we know, Marcus, sadly, we do. And it is, again, educating, raising awareness, you know, kids going into school, being allowed to talk about stuff, which it has got better, but then being allowed to talk about it at home. You know, then somebody at home will say, oh, shut up, you know, and all that. We've still got a way to go to change society and to change hearts and minds within families. And again, a lot of that bias that's out there, but we will get there. Maybe in my lifetime, hopefully, but you know, maybe we've just got to keep going. And the more, as you said, straight allies we've got, the more people in educational settings, the more children that are coming through now generationally are being taught that that is not acceptable. You know, like the N-word was 20, 30 years ago for the Black community. And yes, it's still used, sadly, but more and more young people, they'd be mortified if they even hear that word. Well, let's get that now for the LGBTQ plus community and use Pride as a conduit to be able to move that protest forward and continue to do the work that we do. I'm going to have rainbows all over the shop when I leave this mortal coil. I've already got, you know, drag queens will be there carrying the coffin and there'll be rainbow flags everywhere. I'm proud. I'm very, very proud of who I am, but I also am proud of my community, and I'll do anything and everything that I can, from being a 14-year-old young person to my oldest woman I supported was 83. Little old, I don't think she'll be here anymore. Little old Violet, 83 when she came out, and she came to Pride. Can you tell me where I can go to meet other women like me? 83. Oh. Gorgeous woman. Like I say, she's probably not around, but she might still be around, but
bless. That's
why we need Pride.
Definitely. What advice would you give to someone who wants to be more actively involved within the LGBTQ plus community, who might just be an ally? How can someone be a better ally? And what about those parents of LGBTQ plus children who might need to just have a little bit more education? They're a little bit worried or concerned. What advice would you give to those three different types of people?
Yeah, I mean, I do know there's an amazing organisation called You Are Potential that specifically deal with young people. They're based in Blackpool, but I do know they cover Preston, and they have some fantastic resources on their website. I'm not a big fan of pushing people onto the internet to go and find out information. It is always better if you speak to somebody, but I will mention her name because she's a brilliant worker, a woman called Nina Beavers. And so if it's a young person, and they do have family support groups for the parents of young LGBTQ people. But likewise, they also do the opposite, where they have support for young people whose parents may also be same-sex, that they may have gone through a heterosexual relationship with mum, dad, and then mum might be gay or dad might be gay. So they also do, I mean, I've supported as well within Pride. But one thing I would say, you know, if anybody has got any questions or queries, you know, by all means, ping us a message to the you know, the Facebook page or the website. We've got a website as well, which I know we'll probably cover at the end. But it's just find somebody to talk about. Don't struggle on your own. Don't go in. There now is a lot more support out there, and you know, you could go to a PHSE teacher if it's a young person, but again, if you don't feel confident, you know, there's people out there in the community. They've got us, Marcus. You know, there's people like us out there who can support, and I know that in Preston certainly that there's a few more groups that are popping up in support of LGBT community. I think Beth May has spoken about her late women's only group. And I think there's another one that obviously everything got knocked back because of COVID, but they're all starting to pop back up again. So there is support out there in the community. But what I would just say is please don't suffer in silence, and please don't stay at home and think you're any different. And, you know, and please speak to somebody, because as I said, the impact on young people and older people of the mental health, when they fear coming out, they're frightened of telling somebody their secret or whatever it is, you know, it is scary-ish, but it's not as scary, but it's a lot easier if you've got somebody to hold your hand at the same time and support you whilst you're doing it.
That's brilliant. And before we start with the finishing, I just want to go back to something that we kind of talked about, because it's very, very important specifically right now. And I want you to just talk in a little bit more detail and how people can help with regards to conversion therapy, because it is massive at the moment. Yeah. And I know that it was just, we spent a few minutes talking about it, and obviously we've spent a lot more time talking about everything else. And I don't want people to get to the end of this and forget how important it is to talk about this right now. So if you can just talk a little bit more about the conversion therapy side of things and how important it is for people to be educated about what's going on right now and how can we help.
Yeah. Okay. So again, just very quickly going back to your soap stories, there was a gay conversion storyline with the two lesbian girls, which again was a multicultural mix as well, which is even more exciting because it was the black girl and the Asian girl. But yeah, that was the mother, and that was connected to a religious community, and again through where their community originated. But there is no practitioners, so no GP, no mental health, whatever, would actually advocate that this is a good practice. The British Medical Council do not recognise gay therapy. Unfortunately, a gay conversion therapy, I should say. Unfortunately, when Boris had the opportunity to make it illegal and rubber stamp it, he chose not to. And he chose to kind of sit on the fence. And I believe that it was partly one of the reasons why, at the time, one of his equality ministers resigned, because basically Boris has just got to rubber stamp it and make it legal. Like it was, legalising back to homosexuality in 1967, making gay conversion illegal. It is dangerous for somebody who is going against themselves. So even I'll switch it. It's like saying, okay, so you're heterosexual. Do you really know you're heterosexual? I think what we can do is we can convert you to being gay. I mean, good God, there'll be an outcry. But it's within communities. It's bullying. It's dangerous. For anybody out there, Jeanette Winterson wrote Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. And that was my first introduction to gay conversion therapy. And the main character, who was Jeanette Winterson. So if anybody's listening and want to know more about, go and have a little Google. Jeanette Winterson, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. It was made into a drama as well, TV drama, or you can read the book. And she was connected to a religious community again, and they tied her down in front of the community and basically tried to beat out the devil out of her just because she started to have feelings for another girl who was in that particular church setting. So that's a true story. Orange Not the Only Fruit. Thank you there, Marcus. And that was as I say, and it is still going on. The Government Equalities Office did a poll, and again, all this is available on the internet. And one of the questions was, have you ever been offered, or do you believe that you should have? And I think it was something like 30,000 people had answered the survey, and there was something like 3%, which doesn't sound a lot, But I worked my maths out, and it was about 7,500 people had either been offered gay conversion therapy or had taken conversion therapy up. And there's quite a few films around it as well. But all I want to say to you is, if anybody is out there listening to this, and it's actually safeguarding, social services are taking this now it's very similar, dare I say it. It's being not linked with female genital mutilation, but it's along the same lines now, the severity of how it's being seen. So you would not hurt somebody. It's mentally hurting somebody, and that can have a knock-on effect. I am aware of somebody that tried to do it themselves, the gay conversion therapy, where they were quite religious. They came from a religious background, and they then tried to become more religious to kind of get it out of their head, to think and go against. It's natural to feel how you feel, and you shouldn't fight how you feel, because that is very, very dangerous. And you can actually report it now, I believe, as an element towards hate crime. Not that many people do, but please, 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 if anybody's out there and they've got any more questions, or they're really unsure, or they're frightened because they're feeling pressured because of their community is making them do it, please speak to somebody. Don't suffer in silence.
Definitely. It makes me so upset when I think about...
I get really upset about it. Yeah, and it's young people predominantly. Yeah, it's young
definitely. People. Along them lines as well, obviously, everybody's binge watching stuff on Netflix and all that lot. There is actually a really good film, a docu-film on there called Pray Away. And yeah, it's... Definitely give it a watch if you are interested in learning more. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but you do get to kind of understand how it is. And there's obviously the guy that's on there that starts talking about it. He was one of the people who did administer conversion therapy, and then he has come out and gone, actually, I was wrong, and you can't fight it, and I identify now as a gay male, and all of this. So yeah, just there's a lot of shit going out like right now, and specifically around conversion therapy. If you're out there and you're listening, just as an ally, educate yourself, look out for people, use your voice, as I said earlier. And if you are, as Debs quite rightly said, if you are part of that, as in like you've been forced to do it, you're being told that you must have conversion therapy, or you're undergoing it, please reach out to someone. Like, don't suffer. It's not worth it at all. Like, you are perfect the way you are.
They even covered it on midwives. It was on Call the Midwife. They even had it in Call the Midwife.
Definitely. So thank you for going over that again. As I say, it was very important that we went through that again, especially right at the end, which now leads me to, I think we've covered everything, but is there anything that we haven't discussed that you would like the opportunity to discuss now?
Other than if people want to get involved in Pride, because we're always looking for new community members to come on board to get involved. There's probably a couple of people that Marcus, that have contacted me recently. A young lady that's been on your show not that long ago, a lady called Lauren.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's always opportunities to get involved with Pride. The more, the merrier. You don't have to be gay to be on the community. It doesn't matter. I will say that we run it on a shoestring. We're not Manchester. We haven't got massive amounts of budget. Every year when we run it, we get criticised. Why haven't we got a big headliner? Because we haven't. We have people like Kids for Kids there, who are a community, amazing group. We have the odd like little smash bee that pops up. We run it on a shoestring, and we're always looking for additional volunteers to come in, give us fresh ideas, get involved, and young people as well. So just ping us something on Facebook, fire us a message on the website, because we will be regrouping probably in January to look at next year's Pride 2022.
Brilliant. Well, that really does lead me nicely on to, where can people find you?
I think I've just said. Yeah. Mainly the main one I would say is Messenger on Facebook. Ping us a message on there. We do, as I said, we do have a website, but we're probably more active on Facebook. And then, like I say, any questions, anything that comes from tonight, either yourself, Marcus, you know how to get hold of us. But yeah, just keep your eyes. And next year is our 10th anniversary. Scary.
Wow.
So we will be bigger and better, and I'm hoping to try and attract some more funding to try. We did have Black Lace one year that went down very, very well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were all congering to with big bananas across the flag market to Agadoo. It's hilarious. So we have had one really famous group, but anyway, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows indeed? We'll have to stay tuned and find out. Have you got some final thoughts for the listeners and viewers at home?
My final thoughts are: be true to yourself. And I know I've got a quote coming up, but, don't struggle. If you are struggling with either your sexual orientation or your gender identity, and I'm sure you've probably heard this already in the previous interviews that Marcus has done, please, please, please don't struggle. It's scary. You might be frightened of coming out, but please just reach out to somebody, reach out to us. And Pride definitely is still a protest, and it is still needed. We have to have a Pride, because if we disappear, where have we gone? We don't exist. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do exist, and I will still be banging on doors and knocking down MPs and councillors, and until we do get that equality. But yeah, that's what we're still fighting for.
Brilliant. Now, at the end of every episode, I give my guests the opportunity to give a quote. Now, it can be something that they stand by, live by. It could be something that they've heard that they just really like, or it could be something that they've made up and they just think, that is the quote for me. And I'm just wondering if you've got a quote for my viewers and listeners today.
I have, but as we discussed earlier, there is that quote. Thank you very much, Marcus. So live life to the full and always be true to yourself. And what I will say at the end of that is bollocks to everyone else. Just be you. Be yourself. I tell you now, once you are yourself, life gets a lot easier. But watch out for the Muppets.
That is beautiful. I absolutely love that quote. Thank you so much, Debs. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on this show. I love it. And we've had a comment from Deborah just saying yes to your quote. So she completely agrees with that quote.
Is she still in? Where did she go? She went somewhere in America, did she? Where did she go?
She's in Arizona.
Right.
She's in Arizona. So she lives in Arizona. She went to Switzerland, and then she's just gone back to Arizona now. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been amazing. You are now free to say your goodbyes.
Okay, thank you, anybody who's listening, anybody who's seen me, and goodbye, and see you, Skenard. See you next year at Pride, everyone.
Yay! Thank you. Wow, and amazing, guys. I got slightly emotional, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, what a great episode, what a great guest. And I hope that it's been really drummed in to you why Pride is important, why we still need to fight for it, why it's important to be an ally. That being an ally is being part of the LGBTQ plus community, and it's discussing why being an ally is so important. And as we said, obviously in educational settings, in obviously bigger picture, obviously the writer's room, just anywhere that we have a voice that we can't speak in. Like, not everybody in the LGBTQ plus community has a voice within the educational settings. However, if you're an ally and you're a strong ally, you can be our voice in those settings, in the workplace, in family life. Being an ally doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a professional thing. Being an ally, you could just be part of your friendship circle and being a very strong ally to somebody who identifies as part of the LGBTQ plus community within your friendship circle. Being an ally means that you stand up for them when they feel like they don't have a voice. It's things like that. That's what makes a good ally. Oh, I love this episode. This episode I got really into. Emotionally and mentally got into this episode. And I'm probably going to do some stuff like this again because it's been absolutely epic. So yeah, that was this episode. And actually, that was September. That was September, guys. Oh, so we have completed our LGBTQ plus Pride Month is definitely going to happen again. It has been absolutely epic. I've had some amazing guests, some amazing episodes, and we have discussed stuff that we have really got into and needed to discuss. And have I got a lineup for you in October? Oh my God, I can't believe October's around the corner. October, the end of this week. Starting off in October, I have got the amazing Remus Williams, DJ and producer from London. He was going to be coming on the show to talk about how he has managed to juggle absolutely everything that he does, including in lockdown, and how he felt about the clubs and the club life, obviously. During lockdown and obviously out of work. Remus will be joining us on Wednesday, the 8th of October. Remus will be joining us on Wednesday, the 8th of October at 7 p.m. Next up, we would have episode 67, What Comfort Zone? We have got special guests Laura Trevina and Emily Holm joining us to talk about breaking out of that comfort zone that we have grown accustomed to. What is your comfort zone and how do you break out of it? Both of those guests will be joining me on Wednesday, the 13th of October. Following that, we will be speaking to Megan Reynolds, joining us to talk about things that go bump in the night, speaking about her experience as a horror person. A horror person? I don't know what you describe them as. You know, those people that walk around and scare you at like Scare Kingdom and Farmageddon and stuff like that. She does that. And it's going to be interesting hearing like behind the scenes stuff and oh, I can't wait because I absolutely love Halloween because we were getting into spooky season, guys. And then finalizing our October month, I will be joined by Marie Taylor, who will be coming on and talking about cheerleading in the UK. So we go from having something scary to something light-hearted. So we're going to be talking about cheerleading in the UK and why it is on the rise. All of that in October. And don't forget as well to keep an eye out because during spooky season, you will have some amazingly good, scary stories being read to you at midnight throughout October. Yes, at midnight. Now, I don't expect people to tune in at midnight, but they will be released at midnight because it launches the Spill It Midnight Society, which will be a scary storytelling and a brand new podcast launching. Ooh, I hear you say, ooh. Yes, that is going to be happening through October. Keep an eye out because there's going to be a lot more happening with the Spill It community as well. One of the things obviously Debs mentioned was like there are other groups popping up, and I've been wanting to do something myself, specifically after speaking to Danny Franzese as well last week around HIV, and I have got a plan of action of what Spill It is going to do to help that. Well, all of that will be revealed in the future. Right now, it is time to wrap up the show. I love it because I love talking like this at the end. Okay. Let's calm down. My name is Marcus Wright. When I don't do this, I run a life coaching business called MW Coaching, which is a way for you to step out of your own way and beat that inner saboteur. That's right. If you suffer with imposter syndrome, specifically if you're part of the LGBTQ plus community as well, you can get in touch with me and we can set up sessions for life coaching. For that and everything else that I do, you can find everything over on my website, www.spillit.uk, including you'll be able to check out all of the episodes of Spill It and connect with all of my guests on Spill It as well. There's a little button that you'll be able to click on the date and you'll be able to see the guest and you'll be able to click connect with guests and it launches, where they want you to go. It's awesome. Go and check it out. But you'll also be able to see my MW coaching and obviously everything else that I do as well on my website. To get in touch with me, the easiest way to get in touch with me is on my email. You can email me, marcus@spillit.uk. That goes directly to my inbox. I love seeing emails from you guys. So, drop me an email. Just say hey sometime. If you fancy it. Put a smile on my face. Send a joke. Whatever you want to do. And also, you can support me in different ways over on the website as well. You can become an official teacup by joining the official Patreon. That is where all of these extra podcast things are going to be going. So all the little bonus episodes and stuff, they're going to be going directly to Patreon users only as well. So make sure that, head over to there. There's a little link that says become an official supporter. Click on that, and it is just £2 per month. That is it. £2 per month. It's less than the price of a coffee or less than the price of a tea. And you can become an official Patreon supporter, which means that you get access to the extra episodes that we do, the bonus episodes, and also many other things that are heading over to the Patreon customers only. There is also stuff as well. You can buy merch, just those little things like that. Little beanie hats. We're getting into cold season now. There's beanie hats available. Pick what you want. It's fine. I'm also repping a little bit of merch hoodie, which you can get. You can also get that as a pin badge now as well. Nice. Pin badge. Right. Okay, I'm done. Oh, it's been amazing, guys. Thank you, as always, for watching. You guys have been absolutely epic this month, and just obviously this year, but specifically this month as well. I feel like you guys have learned a lot, specifically around becoming an ally as well. Not everybody who watches this is part of the LGBTQ plus community, but now you are, because now you're an ally. That's it. So you are part of the LGBTQ plus community. The plus is for allies. The plus is for everybody else. That is you. Welcome, teacups, to the LGBTQ plus community. We'll get you a rainbow sent in the post. Right, now I'm done. I promise. I'm so excited. I don't know why I'm really excited. Anyway. Thank you so much for watching. And until we spill it again, it's bye for now. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Spill It. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to do so. Spill It goes live every week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And a special thank you to these amazing teacups.